welcome back to episode 4. Are we on 4 now? Yeah, we're on 4 now. Episode 4 of Ugins Insights. I'm your host, Jordan, and joining me tonight I have...
Chris.
And Adam.
And tonight we are going to do, basically one of a series of podcasts. We're going to do about formats and sort of our thoughts, feelings, and if we actually play any decks, etc., etc. But before we get to that, we're going to do the time-honored tradition. We're going to crack a pack. And as we do in Modern, I've got a pack of Return to Ravnica. So basically, a foil deck fading, wouldn't go amiss. That's like, it's like $100 card. That'd be nice.
I can say no to that.
At that point, I start screaming like a girl. I think on the podcast. Right. Okay. So our first common is Inspiration. 3 in a blue. It's an instant. Target player draws 2 cards. Yeah. Next one is Trained Caracal. It's 1 white. It's a 1/1 creature cat with lifelink.
It's not bad.
Yes.
Not bad.
Not bad one drop. Common Bond is an instant. It's 1 a green and a white. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature and put a 1/1 counter on target creature. So
do it twice, basically.
So you can put on 2 on the same one, or you could spread it out a bit, sort of thing.
That kind of complements the last card, actually, because you could.
Oh yeah, that definitely work. Yeah, so green white so far. Next one is Frostburn Weird. 2 hybrid of blue and red. So you can either pair 2 blue or 2 red, or one of the combinations of each. And it's a weird. It's a 1/4, and you can the hybrid mana again, which is for blue and red, and it gets +1/-1 until the end of turn. Quite solid and limited, actually. Get through. You can probably get 2 or 3 damage through per turn, maybe possibly. Next one is Doorkeeper. 1 in a blue. It's a homunculus. It's a 0/4 defender. You pay 2 in a blue. Tap it. Target player puts top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, where X is the number of creature with defender that you control.
That could be quite a fun card.
If you're doing this in draft, yes. Oh yeah, you would just start picking defenders, wouldn't you? Just for that. Next one, it's a goblin. I already love it. Lobber Crew, 2 in a red. It's a goblin warrior. Yes, it's a 0/4 defender. So this works quite nicely with the last card. You tap it to deal 1 damage to each opponent, and whenever you cast a multicolor spell, you get to untap Goblin Lobber Crew. You get to untap the Lobber Crew.
So the best thing is if you've got multi-coloured, you could then just tap multi-coloured.
Yeah, well, theoretically, like Frostburn Weird, even though it's not a gold border, it's a multicolour card.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So that's so that works as well. So you could actually draft a deck quite easily with that. Oh, Mind Rot with the horrible artwork. This is really wrong. I hate this artwork because it makes me feel sick.
I quite like it, actually.
No, Chris. Right, 2 in a black, sorcery, target player discards 2 cards. Not good because you don't get to pick them, but then again, if you hit them when they've only got 2 cards in hand, that's quite sick. Seller of Songbirds, 2 in a white, human, 1/2. Whenever Seller of the Songbirds enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 white bird creature onto the... whenever Seller... put a 1/1 white bird creature with flying onto the battlefield. So you get two power for 3. Two power for 2/3 for 3. It's not too bad. Next common is Void Wielder. 4 and a red, human wizard, 1/4. When it enters the battlefield, you may return target creature to its owner's hand. Oh, so it's very much like
Reflector Mage.
Reflector Mage, yeah. Sort of thing. Yeah. So 5 mana though. I think Reflector Mage has this one beat by a little bit, even being multicolour. Right, Gate Creeper Vine. It's 1 and a green, defender plant, 0/2. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card or gate card and reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library.
So
2 mana ramp? It's not too bad. Has 0/2 defender on it.
With the gates as well, then.
This had the set where I think it was this or it was Gate Crash, the one where if you had each of the gate, or if you had like 9 gates on the board, it was a bit of a thing. Right, we're on to the uncommons now. So we have our first uncommon, Civic Saber. It's a 1 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 for each of its colours.
Better on the multicoloured.
Then it's equipped for one. So yeah,
Yeah.
so monocolour is only getting +1/+0, but a 5-colour commander for 1 mana gets +5/+5.
Not bad.
+5/+0, sorry. Yeah, that's not too bad. Ooh, Dredge Mangler. I believe it's actually used in. I think it might be used in the. Sorry, Dreg Mangler, not Dredge. 1 black and green. It's a 3/3 plant zombie. Stop looking, Chris. Stop looking.
Zombies.
Zombies. It has haste. It has scavenge 3 and a black, which is you pay 3 and a black. You exile the card from your graveyard. Put a number of 1/1 counters equal to the card's power on target creature, and you can only do it as a sorcery.
That's quite good.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, that's it. Next uncommon is Risen Sanctuary. It's 5, a green and a white. It's an elemental. I'm already in love. It has vigilance and it's an 8/8 for 7 mana.
Cannot complain with that.
Yes, all day. Yes, in fact, I bought a new commander last night. It's a 5-colour elemental, so this is immediately going into that deck. All right, and do we have a right? We don't have a 4, but our rare is Growing Ranks. It's 2 and the Selesnya hybrid mana, which is green-white, so 2 green-green or 2 white-white, or a combination of both. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, populate. Put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of a creature that you control. Actually, actually, that's not bad. So suddenly you can start spawning non-legendary tokens that actually, you create, don't you?
Yeah.
So if you've got a creature that has an enter the battlefield trigger that's horrific. In fact, my elemental deck, for example, my elemental commander deck, which is on NAF, I have the Tyrant of Discord, the one where you randomly destroy cards. You attack opponents, randomly destroys cards. So I could theoretically create another one of them because it's not legendary.
Yes, that's true.
So I could just make you keep destroying your board. I like that. I like this card. Right, and then we have nothing and an island token. So, personally, I'm swinging towards. It's between Dreg Mangler and Risen Sanctuary.
To be honest, I would do Dredge Mangler. The reason being, it's got haste and that scavenge ability.
Yeah, I quite like that. A 3/3 for 3. Good. With haste. Yeah. And extra ability later on. Yeah.
But mind you, if you know it's going to be, you're going to get some long games, then Risen's...
Oh, Risen Sanctuary, yeah. Oh, man, yeah, a 7/7 for... Yeah. I personally, I think Mangler. Mangler out of this.
I would go Growing Ranks.
It's because you're all about the rare.
Well, to be fair, if you're starting that with a draft and that's your first pick, you look next 2 packs. If you just get that one creature that's really good in the draft and you pull it out, and you can just keep on spawning it and spawning it and spawning it if it's not legendary. And I think that could be very useful.
To be fair, like I mean, if there's a chance if you took the Growing Ranks out of the pack, there's possibly a good chance Risen Sanctuary is coming round to you.
Yeah.
Again, so out of all this pack, I mean, what other green white? I mean, common bond. Yeah, so you have there's 3 creatures that are in green white in this pack. So there's a good chance that one of them's coming back to you, which is lots of defenders, lots of lifelinkers, or big 8/8. So that wouldn't be too bad. So that's our picks. So we are going, as we discussed, we are going to start discussing formats on the podcast. And, well, standard at the moment, so we'll all be play standard, and I'm getting a bit bored of playing and talking about it all the time. So I figured actually we start off with modern tonight. Now, unfortunately, out of all of us at the table, there is one person who doesn't play modern, which is our lovely Adam here. However, but we figured, it would actually be quite nice to have a person who doesn't play it opinion on the matter, sort of thing, because it gets a bit more...
outside view, isn't it?
Outside view on it.
Yes.
So, why modern? Well, modern is 8th edition onwards, basically, which is quite a lot of sets of Magic.
It's a lot of sets to choose from it.
Yes. Basically, I mean, there are obviously Wizards runs a ban list because there are broken combos or very unfriendly decks to play, such as obviously the recent banning, which was Eye of Ugin to stop the Eldrazi menace that was
Oh, yes.
taking over the format quite easily. And for good reason. Because I played against it and it's not fun.
I was very fortunate never to play against it.
Oh, it's soul destroying when they get a Thought Knot out turn 2.
Oh man.
Thought Knot on turn 2 is, there's a level of wrong right there.
It's just unfortunate that it's gone so, like, its use has just gone completely. Because it's like I've pulled out in the pack and
Well,
it's been sitting in my trade folder. It's a bit.
It could come back. It will be a long
Eventually.
time before it comes back. But to be fair, I mean that Eye of Ugin expedition you did pull, it's still good for Commander. Still good for Legacy. There's still lots of places it has a home in. It's just Modern is the second most popular format after Standard. But anyway, so I mean, the way I like to approach Modern, or when people talk about Modern, is that basically I think you have to have decks that you're passionate about, because you don't change them. You build a deck and the chances of you changing it are very slim to none, especially in regards to I mean, basically whenever a new set comes out, you look at it and say, well, do any of these cards work in my, like for example, I currently have 2 Modern decks. I have my mono red goblins. Let's go goblins, let's go.
No.
You are only salty because I run Goblin Grenade, and it seems to always turn up on the top deck when you're on 4 life or 5 life, and I meant yes. So that's every.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a good deck. I just do not like Goblin Grenade.
I'm pretty sure there's probably a big populace that would agree with you on that fact that Goblin Grenade needs to be banned immediately.
No.
But so Goblins is one of them. My other one is a blue-white control. Is probably the best definition of it.
Nope.
It has a lovely referred name of Nope, because it basically runs lots of counters and return to hand and bounces, etc. It's a list based off Desolator Magic, his YouTube channel. He did one called The Beholder. It's very similar to his, apart from I run a different set of instants and sorceries in the main board, and rather than the sideboard. That's because of my obviously the meta at our stores sort of game. But it's one of those sort of, I think the format is that you have to have a passion behind the idea. I mean, it's like I'm at the moment debating about building a 3rd deck, and it's right now between building an illusions deck, illusion creature type deck, which illusions are very weak because whenever they get targeted by an instance of sorcery, not an instant sorcery or an ability, they die immediately.
Right.
So you generally pay 1 mana. Like, for example, Phantasmal Bear, 1 mana blue, one blue mana, get a 2/2 bear illusion. So so you generally get lots of power creep, but it means that if you target it with anything, it's dead. However, Lord of the Unreal is is he 2 in a blue? No. I think he's either 2 in a blue or 2 blue and a 1. I can't remember. He gives all illusions +1/+1 and hexproof. Works very well, especially when you play a Phantasmal Image, because of course he's weak to removal. Mm-hmm. When you play a Phantasmal Image, which is 1 and a blue, illusion creature, when it enters the battlefield, you copy any target creature you control. You target the Lord of the Unreal, who basically makes the Phantasmal Image, because it's illusion, it then is a Lord, gives all the other spirits +1/+1, and hexproof, and all other illusions gets hexproof, including itself. So effectively it makes a Lord that you can't remove without sweeper.
That wrong.
Oh, it does. No, I agree. But at the moment, it's between doing an illusion deck and blue-white spirits. So with Drog Skull Captain, which is very much like your Diagraph Captain, which we'll get over onto, which is a Lord for spirits, and but again, he gives all spirits hexproof. However, he doesn't have hexproof, so again, you use Phantasmal Image to copy the Spirit Lord and give himself hexproof. Yeah, it's rather entertaining after that.
Man.
But so that's my sort of thoughts on that. I mean, I do enjoy playing Modern. I think, but you have to have a passion behind playing your decks, because you are going to build it, play it, and every set that comes out, you'll go, ooh, that'll work in this deck. Oh, that works in that deck, I think. Or you may get inspired to build a whole new deck from a card.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time you've got to sort of decide on what sort of theme as well. I think that sort of helps you sort of decide what kind of deck you want to sort of play with.
I agree with that. I mean, like, in my Goblin deck, I mean, because God forbid, if you ask anyone, or if they say I'll play Goblins, there's about 25,000 variations of Goblin lists. Yeah. Nobody plays as, I don't think anyone, unless they're playing, like, Travis Wu's All in Goblins, etc., that nobody plays a modern Goblin list the same. Like my Goblin deck, I like to run Quest for the Goblin Lord, which is the 1 mana enchantment. Whenever a Goblin enters the battlefield, put a quest counter on. Once there's 5 quest counters on it, all Goblins get +2/+0, which
is wrong.
Doesn't sound bad. However, when by turn 3 you can get 5 charge counters on it, and you're swinging for 10+ on turn 3, that gets a bit ridiculous.
Illegal.
I do agree it's a little bit unfair, but however, it's entertaining.
It's good. It's a good card.
It's entertaining. It is, but it in terms of enchantments, it's awful because it doesn't do anything until you've played 5 goblins. So you rely on your deck producing 5 goblins. But anyway, so that's my thoughts on sort of modern. So I'll tell you what, we'll go to Adam because Adam is the odd one out here.
Yeah, it's a complete unknown. To be honest, my thoughts on modern, I've only been playing for about 6 months now, so I'm quite new to the whole Magic game, and it's a growing thing. I know it's something when you go back, we'll have a discussion today, when you go back to it, you kind of go, I've got this card, I can start building a modern deck. So maybe I'm at that stage at the moment where I've only been focusing on standard, and all the cards I've got is standard, other than Conspiracy. It means that my limited pool is probably rather low, which kind of makes it hard to build a modern deck. The reason I pretty much stick to standard rather than modern is because I like changing decks. I like configuring my deck. I like the whole fast pace changing. You got to adapt because packs go out, sets go out, sets come in, and it kind of keeps it fresh for me. And I'm quite enjoying standard at the moment. I can understand why people like modern, but I feel like modern is very fast paced. It's gonna end by go 4 or 5. Personally, I haven't played that many modern games.
I think modern does have this image of, turn 3 you're dead, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I am not saying because admittedly my deck's done it, so I don't say it can't happen. However, the chances of you versing a deck that does that turn 2, turn 3. I mean, I don't think there's a modern deck that can kill you turn 1. There probably is. It probably is, and it probably requires that magical Christmas land hand to do it. But it's one of those things I think that you can, there are decks that you match up badly against. I think there's a reason why the pros aren't a fan of it. I mean, they all play modern because they've gone to obviously the World Championships is currently on while we're recording this, and they're doing modern and that, but we've got all the sort of. I mean, the reason why a lot of the pros say they don't enjoy it is because there's too much variance. The fact is that in standard, I mean, there tends to be sort of the 10 archetypes. You could probably say there tends to be about 10 different archetypes, so you can build a deck that can deal with or sort of have a sideboard that can deal with match up against those 10 9 other archetypes. Whereas in modern is someone plays goblins, but my goblin list won't match someone else's goblin list and this goblin list. I mean, I may run. I run that enchantment, which means that possibly turn 3 I can swing through for lethal, etc., etc. Yeah. There's lots of various things like that. I mean, the modern players did. I mean, but at the same time, is that it is boring to watch. I mean, when I remember when we were watching it, I think it was last year, and they were showing modern GPs, and it's just like, here's another Infect deck versus another Jund deck. It's like, well, Jun's got the upper hand on this, so you already roughly know sort of how it's gonna go. But at that point, it's like, is it worth watching?
Yeah, exactly.
So
I think at the moment, I will stick to standard. I'm quite happy in standard, and I'm building around the Kaladesh set. The deck I'm building, which is focused on the Super Friends deck. I'm quite happy just controlling that. I don't know how that would fit in modern. It would be interesting to see if there are any Super Friends deck in modern. Actually,
well, suddenly you get a lot of planeswalkers.
yes.
In fact, you could probably run a Super Friends deck and just run one off of each planeswalker.
Yeah.
And that would get highly interesting, actually, thinking on it. Well, suddenly you've got, like, Liliana of the Veil to play with, and Cough of the Hammer, and you got there's actually quite a few things.
I reckon you could do it, but
Controlling.
for the price on it,
Well,
Yeah.
The price, well, obviously Liliana of the Veil, is like $200. However, though, there are a lot of other planeswalkers. There's lots of, there's been quite a lot of Chandras, quite a lot of Nisses as well. Suddenly, obviously you get the planeswalker rule on that, but there's also Vraska, Ashnok. There's you've got a hell of a lot actually to play with. And then there's all the commander versions as well. I don't know if they're modern legal, then that suddenly gets interesting. There's one that produces lots of elves and stuff like that. So suddenly, actually, oh god, I want to build a modern. I want to see what a modern Super Friends deck looks like.
That might be something to research up at the end of the.
When it comes to rotation time, suddenly the Super Friends deck might, I might not quite dismantle this yet. Let's just put this to the side and
It's interesting because I've got a while on that Planeswalker deck at the moment, and I think the only things that will rotate out at the moment is Chandra from Oath and Gideon from Zendikar. So they're going to
no. Rotation now's next
rotation
October. You also lose Shadows and Eldritch as well. You lose 4 sets at the next rotation.
That's pretty much my whole day.
So that's pretty much your whole day. So keep that. Just keep that aside and just go. Well, now I'm going to build modern Super Friends. How do you do that?
Because I think Super Friends is going to go out standard unless there's a replacement for the Oaths. I think it'll be very hard.
I don't think you've got any chance of it because I don't see how the deck would work without Oath and Nissa, regardless of the other Oaths.
Yeah,
I don't know how it would work without the Oath of Nissa, because the Oath of Nissa is like the key card.
If you control it down to 3 colours, like I have in my deck, so I've got to focus on green, white, red, and you only play planeswalkers from green, white, red. I've not had a game where I've got 6 mana and I can't play Chandra because I'm lacking in red. That is normally quite alright, because normally you've got the Aether Hub to back you up as well. If worst comes to the worst, okay, I can play an Aether Hub, use 1 energy, but it's an interesting development. It'll be interesting to see how my thoughts develop a bit, maybe in a few months' time.
So maybe towards maybe before because obviously, the reason why we're also discussing modern lately is that, we're thinking of going to GP Birmingham next year, which is set as modern as the main show.
Yep.
Which I'm thinking of obviously jumping in the main show. I'm going to get destroyed in the main show, but anyway, it's all right if I get knocked out. Unlike last time when I made it through to round 7, and I was actually hoping to get knocked out round 4.
It's always good going out at 2:00.
Yeah, at least you got to play other games. I was still playing the same deck the entire day. I just want to play standard now. I was like, the entire day, I'm like, someone knocked me out because I was not quitting whatsoever.
Same with me though. It was sort of you're just sitting there going, I want to get something to eat, but the next round's in.
I don't think I've ever had to dart quickly enough to go and quickly shovel something into my face. Anyway, right, so that's from you, Adam. Right, let's get round to discussing with Chris.
Right.
Chris, let's talk modern. How do you enjoy modern?
No, my perception of it has been very changed, because when I first started playing Magic and started going down the game store, I played modern originally. Even though it was a standard deck at the time, because I didn't know which cards could be played in standard and modern and all that, so it was just easier to play modern.
Yeah.
And so I kind of had a bad perspective of it because I didn't have much to play at the time. Now I'm sort of started playing modern and I've got a good idea. I'm actually enjoying it a lot more. It's quite interesting to play against different decks and all. I mean, I run sort of a black-blue zombie deck, which I can just revive stuff off the graveyard with grave crawlers and all that. And I'll try it. I tried it the first time last night, and it was actually, to be fair, it actually went quite well. I mean, I noticed there isn't as Adam was saying, you know, thoughts getting knocked out turn 3. You know, I didn't see much of that, which is quite surprising.
I think with our store meta is they don't play super punishing turn 3 decks. I mean, they do exist, and we know that they're out there. And when we do go, to GP Birmingham, that there's a good possibility you're gonna go up against a deck that is designed to kill you turn 3. Because if you go to a GP, you probably want to bring the most competitive in your
best deck to win.
The best deck to win, don't you? Sort of thing. So, you know, it's one of those things. I think that I actually quite like your blue-black zombie build because you've gone, you know, it is zombie tribal, but at the same time you've got a lot of graveyard recursion and stuff like that. So you are weak to graveyard hit.
Yeah,
in that regard.
This is the main
but
issue.
this is the thing me and you have both discussed is that because we've built our actual modern decks for fun.
Yeah.
For when we play, you know, and last night is the first time that me and Chris actually played the actual proper modern side at our store, and we both went, well, our sideboards are terrible because we've not designed them to play against Merfolk and Life Gain and all these other things. But during the course of the night, we actually sat down sort of together in between games and we're discussing ideas. You know, I'm discussing playing Leyline of Punishment in my sideboard, which is the enchantment, which is 2 red, and if it's in the opening hand, you get to play it on the battlefield immediately, which players can't gain life, and then they can't prevent damage.
Have you considered putting built smash for your goblins just to, you know, build it up?
There's one that's in, I think it was Thantheros. It's either Thantheros or Ravnica. Yeah. And you can overload, and it gives all your creatures. So you pay. Okay. It's like 7 mana, but it's like build your board up, swing big. So they target every creature, sort of thing. So you only do it once rather than. But there are other spells that do the same thing, where you can pay. You pay the spell. It'll be 1 mana, and they'll say, "Oh, you can multi-kick it like for X." You know, and you pay, and it'll do for each other creature you target, sort of thing. So. There are ways around it, sort of thing. But actually, we're discussing last night with my opponents. It's like they said, "Oh, are you running like Tuk Tuk?" And I was like, "No, because he just, you know, he's a legendary creature." And I went, "Yeah, but the golem, he's a 1/1 goblin, but he creates a 5/5 golem." And he's like, "Well, yeah." And he's like, "But it's not legendary." What? Because I thought the golem token he creates is a 5/5 legendary. So I was like, "No, it's pointless." Because there's no point in running him. Yeah. But he's like, no, you do it. You sack him to Goblin Grenade, like obviously, like I enjoyed doing anyway with Mog War Marshal. And it's like, all right. So then you do that, and then so out of the deal you get a 1/1 Goblin and then a 5/5 Golem. And it's like, okay, I maybe need to put a Tuk Tuk or 2 in this deck.
So it is adjusting a little bit, but that's you're at early stages, aren't you?
Oh yeah, we're there. I mean, this deck was sort of I mean, I did build my original mono red goblins, which were fun to play. It was very much a bit scattered. I had lots of sorceries that created goblins. I had a few good goblins, not great, but they were all right. And then I had lots of goblin grenades and lightning bolts, and so it was a bit of a scattered deck. And then when I went to GP London, funnily enough, and randomly looking through the vendors, I think I was on day 1 or day 3, and suddenly I realised one of the vendors had some Warren Instigators, which is for a cheaper price, and I'm like, ooh,
why not?
So double red goblin, double strike, 1/1, and whenever it does damage to a target player, I get to put a goblin from hand onto the field. Yes, okay, and they were cheaper than I could buy them through online. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take 4 of them. And then I was like, oh, I can get Pyretic Rituals here as well. Oh, I can get tier 2 mana and get 3 red. Yeah, I'll take that as well. Yeah, so suddenly my deck, my mono goblins at GP London got totally dismantled and then rebuilt over like a couple of days because I was able to pick up so many decent cards for it. But yeah.
I mean, that's one thing I do like modern. There is no right or wrong way you can do it to a certain extent.
If you're going to build one of the premium tier 1 archetypes such as Junzu, for example. Well, so blue, green, red zoo. You need 4 Tarmogoyf. You need 4 Scavenging Ooze. But 4 Tarmogoyf are what? They're $100 a piece or something like that.
That's expensive.
So that's $400 on 4 cards there. That's not even including the mana base. And the mana base is where it kills you in Modern half the time. All right, I'm not saying the creatures aren't cheap or players, but but 3/4 of the time is that you go, I want 4 this shock land or 4 of this fetch land. And if it's the original Zendikar fetch land, you might as well cry because God forbid, you're charging like $100 a piece for that.
Yeah, I mean, sort of like with Polluted Delta, that costs a lot itself. I mean, when I can find it, but yeah, I mean, I think that's the one thing that kills Modern a little bit is you need these older lands and they cost a bomb. I mean, like Polluted Delta, that costs $15.
Yeah, $15. Yeah, I mean that's quite cheap in comparison to like the original Zendikar ones, which was a heavily open set, but it wasn't. It's now a supply and demand situation, sort of thing. Because unfortunately, everyone wants to play like Misty Rainforest, which is one of the original fetch lands, which is only from Zendikar. Is it Zendikar or well? It's one of the original sets. It's only in that set, and it's like so there's a Wizards reprinting issue sort of thing at the same time. So Modern's inexpensive. However, though, in the same sense, you can do really well with some decks in Modern that are ridiculously cheap.
Yeah.
Previously discussed in the podcast, there was I was talking about there's a guy on. Oh, I can't remember his YouTube name now. It's going to drive me up a wall until I'll look at him later. He has a deck called Lost in the Woods, which is based off the card Lost in the Woods, which is an enchantment that removes creatures from combat if you reveal a forest from the top of your deck. But you've got it's basically his entire Modern deck is $8 because he runs only forests. There's no other cards. He runs forest, and basically to survive till he gets to turn 4, he runs fog and every other disillusioning enchantment, and then he has something that creates X amount of walls equal to the amount of forest you control, and then starts swinging big. It's It's a ridiculous deck, and all it does is it's an $8 deck. But obviously, if you go up against a control player and he's got negate and all these other things, it's going to mess with you there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, yeah, fine, fog.
It's a bit like that. It's a bit like, and there's a deck I was looking at, the Zombie Infestation deck. That's quite cheap.
You showed me that yesterday, and that is hilarious.
I've got to build that.
And at the same time, I mean, it's what, 54 lands?
Yeah.
54 lands, 2 zombie infestations, and what was the 4?
Treasure hunts.
Treasure hunts, yeah. Which is it's wrong because theoretically, what, turn 3 you could win? No, turn 4. Turn 4 because you create them turn 3, so turn 4 you're swinging for the win.
So really, you probably get, if you can get sort of like a chunk of land as you do treasure hunt.
Yeah.
You could just go discard everything.
Yeah,
get zombies. Bang.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, but that deck gets shut down to things that name non-land card. It can't do X, Y, or Z. Sort of like Pithing Needle. Or my in my blue-white control, I run Meddling Mage. So all I do is name zombie infestation. If I'm going first and turn to Meddling Mage out, I'll be like, all right, name zombie infestation. Then you can't play it until you get rid of that, which you can't in that deck. So that's I think this is the reason why Modern is sort of not enjoyed, because there's lots of easy ways to. There's lots of easy ways to break the format. At the same time, though, is that one card. If your opponent's running one card, a one-off in the sideboard, and they manage to get it in their opening hand, they go, do this, and you go, scoop, because you can't do anything. It's like a lot of people that like burn play, like players who play burn. If they go up against white, if their opponent brings in Leyline of Sanctity, so players got hexproof, Yeah, so he's like, yeah, great, fabulous. So I've now got a bird deck that can't target them. So at which point you need to sideboard in. And he's thinking, so you go up against the white player, you think, right, he's going to have Leyline of Sanctity. He may not have Leyline of Sanctity in his sideboard. Be like, he's going to have Leyline of Sanctity, so I need to put in Demolish to destroy the enchantment. Oh, how many Demolish should I run? I'll maybe run one. No, I should run more than one. So suddenly there's a lot of sort of back and forth. But anyway. But it's, I think it's a good format. It occasionally is a bit horrible and wrong, and I think there are some players that give it a bit of a bad rep.
Yeah, it's sort of. But it's one of those formats you've sort of got to preserve that, and then once you crack through it, finally, you start enjoying it. But it's just sort of cracking into it, I think, is the most difficult bit of all.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing is that you have to enjoy playing the deck. I mean, you're currently enjoying. Adam, for example, you're currently enjoying playing Super Friends. I mean, when it comes to rotation time, you may think, well, you may try and build a variant.
Oh yes, definitely.
But the fact is that you can have a lot of fun playing the variants. So suddenly you can go, oh, maybe I'll try a one-off of each Planeswalker that I can get my hands on. And some of them are probably horribly cheap. I dread to think how cheap you can get some Planeswalkers.
Probably, yeah.
I dread to think how cheap you can make a modern Super Friends deck. Not that you would need to. All you need to do is buy a booster pack from wherever saga you want. You'll just pull the Planeswalker.
I've got the magic touch.
Anyway, knowing you, how many Chandras have you put on? Chandras, Torches, Devices are you on now?
I've pulled 6 in packs. I've not foiled, by the way. Foiled.
I've not pulled a single Chandra. I've pulled a Nissa. No, sorry. I've pulled 2 Nissas.
I've got 4 of those.
Out of...
Jordan, there's one thing I'd like to point out here. You've not been sitting right in front of him, opening a booster box when he pulled one, and then sitting there trying to tear your hair out because you're not pulling one.
That's a good point, actually, yeah. At least you're his brother. I mean, I don't have to deal with it.
I've literally stood in the store and I think the store owners have heard me swear because he's pulled one.
I think the best time when Chris says, you better not pull a Gideon. What do I put
out? No.
Gideon!
Chris, for one, you should learn by now, do not pull. You don't, just stop yourself at that point. Don't say the card, because if you say the card, he's going to pull it.
Saying the same thing, I'm glad.
However, I have randomly predicted one pull. I mean, when we were at GP London, and the last chance sealed, I was like, when we had all our packs, and I was like, I'm going to put this Chandra one to the side, because this has got my invention in. And of course, I'm cracking packs and showing it to the guy. And of course, the last pack of Chandra I opened, it does have a Stasis Orb in it. And I was like, oh, King over there, hail, hail. So now everyone just go away for the weekend. I'm storming it through. But yeah, you do feel good about it. But anyway, we'll leave it there because we've been rambling enough, I think. But yeah, stay tuned and subscribe to the podcast. I don't know what the topic will be for the next one. I'd like to say it's the next one in this sort of series, but we only did this because there was no news to talk about. Because there has been jack all to talk about anyway, sort of in the terms of Magic World. I mean, apart from they're doing standard showdown, which isn't anything. Well, it's an interesting concept sort of thing, bringing.
I think it's encouraging more new players to play, and you know what, it's the chance to get some decent foils because you're guaranteed a foil in the pack.
You're guaranteed. You get out of basically the standard showdown. I think it depends on the store owner's prerogative. But basically, if you get a pack, you get 1 hit card.
Yeah.
Which is there's a possibility of 1 in every 33 boosters has an expedition or a masterpiece in.
Yeah.
Which is And then you've got but there's 1 in 500 of the hit card, which is a decent card from standard at the time, which could be anything, I assume, from Archangel Iverson to I'm trying to think of another expensive
card. 1 in 500?
Yeah, sorry. There's 5. There's there's
1 in 500 sets of cards. Yeah.
It's all,
there was a note on there actually saying Oath isn't included in his set for some reason. I don't know why.
No. They're saying I can't remember now.
No,
What was
Oath
it?
is not.
Yeah, the Oath and the double face cards. That's it. Apart
Yeah.
from those rares, which I think Kalitas is the only one off the top of my head.
See, I thought I'm gonna find.
Well, you have
Avacyn won't be in it because she's double faced.
Oh, she's not double faced. That's a good point. I forgot about
So
that.
it's a bit weird that they've not put Kalitas allowed that.
To be fair, it's clever what they've done because they basically one in every 33 pack gets an invention, and the invention is good. You know, most of them are alright, sort of thing. You know, some of them have decent value. Some of them are jank. I mean, so you can, not all of them are perfect. We all know that, but. You know, it's a bit of up and down. I mean, I think probably the best way, the one ways they were discussing it, is that vendors can do it as a buy a box promotion, as well. So if
Oh really?
yeah, so they would say I think that was as an extra thing saying, look, if you want to do it as buy a box. So if players come and say, oh, buy a box, you can give them one of the standard showdown, and at which point I was like, actually, I thought to myself, actually, I'd rather do that.
Yeah.
Because I've not done obviously a proper opening for the channel yet anyway, but that's my prerogative.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where I would personally, because the chance, because I think one of the criteria they're saying is maybe players who only got 5-0 should get a standard showdown pack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like the best any of my standard decks have done a 4-1. And I'll be honest, most of the 4-1s, I was lucky.
The only time I've been undefeated is during pre-release, and pre-release is anyone's game, to be honest.
Pretty much. Yeah.
The problem is, I can see the issue I see with that is people going, "Oh yeah, top tier, I'm going."
But that's the issue. Is that if you do a top tier deck,
Your deck is
everybody knows how to beat it.
Yeah.
Certain cards shut down the decks like that. It is one of those things. But anyway, we're gonna understand it. We're not just gonna discuss that. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. I'm your host Jordan. Saying bye bye and say bye bye, lads.
Take it easy.
See you later.
See you later.
Remember to subscribe to the podcast, and if you are enjoying this will go up on YouTube as well, and you can comment below, and we'll respond. Anyway, guys, thanks. Bye.